We begin in deep space as a moon drifts past. The UIC Delta Labs division is a top-secret outpost. Dr. Botger, a scientist, is seen moving through the lab's corridors. Then, a quick cutaway to Earth shows another deserted subterranean facility. Another scientist is in charge of this lab. Dr. Ahmed, a young guy, has also offered to participate in the experiment. He approaches a large black disc that is lying on the ground. Strange red symbols are painted all over it. As Dr. Botnicker unlocks the gates, alarms sound, and a weird crimson liquid begins to pour inside. The young guy enters the fluid and is immediately transferred from Earth to the moon base. Everyone begins to rejoice, but soon sirens sound, and we see that the young guy resembles a zombie and has sharp claws. The next scene features a flashback to a dying lady in a hospital. In a space bed, a lady opens her eyes. Lieutenant Joan Dark is her name. The female robot voice introduces herself as Daisy and addresses the tenant. It's the computer on the ship. As we see a spacecraft that Nola is traveling on, rock music is playing. It is transporting warriors from Earth to the moon outpost known as Phobos. The Captain Morgan makes some remarks inside the ship and cracks jokes with the crew. Soon after, we see the crews conversing at a table. They are the stereotypically cool characters. After some light-hearted banter, Lieutenant Dark enters. Everyone stops talking. Tennant speaks with Dr. Bennett before the team departs. The science guy must be him. They seem to have dated in the past. Returning to the lunar base, Dr. Botger contacts Dr. Ahmed on the planet via video. They disagree on whether or not to notify their superiors what transpired. He will pass the gates and the subsequent exam, according to Dr. Bucher. Captain Savage briefs the crew inside the Nola in the meanwhile. One of the other crew members cracks a joke during private ranting. The humorous one must be him. A map of the lunar base is shown by Captain 7. 3 tiers are present. The team is unhappy to learn that level 3 includes a nuclear reactor. The troops are there for security. The captain informs them. Winslow clashes with Lieutenant Dark and uses foul language. The team departs to prepare for the expedition. We quickly return to the lunar base and see a new physician named Veronica. Dr. Botger is being tested by her. They are ready to use the gates to teleport the doctor once again. The crew is getting ready in the next scenario when Captain Savage phones his family to announce his impending retirement. Dr. Botger enters the unusual red liquid on the moon base. As he does, the power cuts out, injuring the scientists. Later, after the Nola has landed at the space station, the pilot Morgan attempts to radio the moon base, but when they don't respond, Daisy tries to get in touch with them. They get a message telling them to remain still. When action music starts playing during a meeting, they choose not to pay attention and locate an emergency, interrogating their staff as they prepare by getting their weapons and connecting to the emergency entrance gate. The electricity on and off and the ship's lights flicker as they move. Rebooting of the ship's computer Daisy. However, Dr. Bennett travels with the captain while Lieutenant Dark's team searches for the ship's server. The squad searches level 2 for the servers and discovers a chainsaw as well as several explosive barrels. Tarek discovers blood and writing on the wall after Lieutenant Dark discovers a body and notifies the captain. Inability to read it, even if he is proficient in 8 old tongues. They get complacent while translating it, and the voice continues skipping. Daisy translates. Back on the Nola, it sounds a little ominous. Something isn't right when Daisy alters the maps when the computer screen is flashing and the teams are turning around. Captain Savage's crew is in the garden room, while Lieutenant Doc's team is in the engine room. Veronica is a scientist and a cleric. Winslow kills a zombie, and Lieutenant Dark informs the captain that Tarek was killed by something. As Lee is checking the dead, the zombie rises to attack, but Harry rescues her. The scientists attempted to warn the captain in the meanwhile, but she was ambushed and murdered. Music is playing as both squads fire and kill zombies. Lieutenant Dark then uses a chainsaw to cut down more zombies. Lieutenant Dark strikes zombies in the face after saving Winslow from them. In the end, the teams get together in a corridor when one of them locates a survivor. Dr. Botger is discovered to be alive back on the Nola after Bennett claims that extraterrestrial life has been discovered. Morgan tells Daisy they are leaving after talking to her. When Daisy states that nobody can go, her voice shifts. A bizarre blue-looking extraterrestrial attacks Morgan. The alien fires a fireball, and of course, after more terrible acting, he ultimately perishes. Later, the team gathers for a meeting. It develops a plan. The crew disputes Dr. Bottiger's claim that they can utilize the gates to get to Earth. In order to turn the electricity back on, Lieutenant Dark devises a strategy and informs Bennett that she has conned the physician. Music is heard as they make their way to the reactor room. As Dr. Botger begins to describe the lieutenant's troubled life to everyone, Bennett attempts to restore power. The electricity is restored when Bennett repairs the reactor. The group is left to confront some aliens when the Doctor tells Veronica he recalls everything and stabs her. Collie defends herself from an assault from an extraterrestrial miniature, and Winslow gets struck by a fireball. Collie Winslow stands up but is killed by a second fireball. Aliens are shot 10 times in the head by Lieutenant Dark. Ben embraces Collie as she passes away just to be certain. He exudes grief before her death. According to Veronica, who hands the lieutenant the DARPA key card, a large gun is found in a room by Lieutenant Dark. The weapon has the name of the BFG 9000. She gives Bennett her old rifle and takes the gun and several plasma grenades, before acting tough and sending Bennett hunting for the Doctor as they wait for the elevator. Lieutenant Dark switches on the pistol and informs Bennett that she screwed up. They explain about how an extraterrestrial pulled them into the elevator on their first date. The BFG is used by Lieutenant Dark against an extraterrestrial and a few zombies. It simply ends his life. She uses the keycard to enter the elevator and travels to floor 4. When the level 4 doors open, dead corpses are all throughout the place, and the walls are stained with blood. She sees a doctor on a computer when she opens the door. He addresses Bennett, who is now surprised. The Doctor reveals that the Earth was the aliens' first habitat while Bennett and Lieutenant Dark battle. They want it returned. He opens the gates and moves in the direction of the crimson liquid. The lieutenant kills Bennett, then follows up by shooting the Doctor in the chest and grabbing a dropped key card. The Doctor survived. He advises a lieutenant that you cannot resurrect the dead, and in the next scene, we see the lieutenant and a different planet. It's pitch black and seems to be hell. She turns around, clutching the BFG, to the sound of dramatic music. Red-eyed, menacing monsters start to emerge. A large beast was revealed as the music intensified. This has to be the top dog. It has large, razor-sharp claws and a fire within its head and breast. The beast throws Lieutenant to the ground, and she drops her weapon. The large entity informs the other demons that they will all be slain since humans are a nuisance. The monsters approach Lieutenant to attack her. Lieutenant grabs the pistol, shoots the large thing in the chest, and it bursts and dies. Lieutenant throws the keycard on the ground as she flees from the beasts. That creates a gateway behind her in some way. Certainly, technology. She fires a grenade at the monsters before launching herself through the portal. Things blow up, and it becomes clear that she has been taken back to the UAC facility in the arid region. She is secure. Dr. Ahmed assures her. Then, when he claims that Dr. Botger ought to be approaching the gates, she orders him to shut it down, but no one pays attention. We hear sirens and see the gates opening as a soldier pulls her back. As the gate opens and groans can be heard, the movie ends. To see more videos like this, like and subscribe.